Mr. Gandhi, about your book, The Gift of Anger. The first time I saw this title, it caught my attention too, because I believe almost my entire life I was fighting with my anger and becoming even more angry. And your book became the basis of our social work, Repacificar, and also will be the basis for our next action, the Repacificar Challenge. It will be directly for families, schools, and community. Can you share with us the idea of the book, the message of the book?
Well, it goes back almost 25 years, I think, when I started going out and talking to people about all my experiences with the grandfather and my parents and all that. People started asking me, have you written a book? Because, you know, it's good for you to come and talk, but a book would help us remember things better. So I said, no, I haven't written a book, but I'll think about it. And then one day I met a literary agent, and I told him about the book, and he asked me to write a proposal, and I sent him a proposal, and he showed it around to a lot of people, a lot of publishers, and they all rejected it. They said, no, nobody's interested in this book. So then when I failed to find a commercial publisher, I decided to take some selective stories and publish the book myself. And so we published it through the Institute, and it was called The Legacy of Love. And I used to take that book around with me everywhere I went, and when people, after the lecture, people would buy the book, and I sold, I think, about 20,000 copies in nearly 20 years. And then in 2017, 2017, there's another literary agent from New York City went somewhere for a holiday, and she found this book there, and she read it, and she was very impressed by it. And so she got in touch with me and said, this book can be a bestseller. And I said, well, you know, for 25 years I've been selling it. Nobody was interested. And now you suddenly come and say it's going to be a bestseller. So she came to Rochester and she persuaded me, and she told me to write another proposal, and I did that. And she submitted that to several publishers, and within a week, 10 publishers made a bid for it. They wanted to publish it. And so the book came out. The reason why I gave it the title of The Gift of Anger, because I think anger is a very important thing that contributes to violence in the world. More than 80% of the violence is generated by anger. We get angry and we just, lose our minds and do things and say things that make a big difference in our life. It changes our lives. And especially when I started about 9 years ago, when I started working in the prisons, and I saw how many young people who acted in a moment of anger and their life completely changed. Now they're sitting in prison because they acted in moment of anger, and all of them were telling me that if they could only go back and change, they would like to change it. And that's when I realized that, we don't pay any attention to anger at all. We don't teach it, we don't talk about it, we just allow every person to find their own ways of dealing with anger. And the result is that out of ignorance, we all end up abusing anger. And that is where all the trouble starts. So I think in many ways, learning how to deal with anger and channeling that energy into positive action is much more constructive to create peace in the world than just going and talking about peace. So to make people, and it's also a catchy title. People look at the gift of anger and they say, how can anger be a gift? And then, so, that was the background to the book and the stories.